Welcome to another Fresh Off the Stalls. Mad Ferry, got any salmon? I don't actually, no, sorry. I've been out to see Trainspotting at the King's Head Theatre. This is the most 90s discotheque I get. For starters, I still call it the discotheque. So I'm celebrating by and doing this review in the spirit of the show by having just shat myself. Not really. No, not really. Yes, a completely different tone and tolerance to my last Fresh Off the Stalls, and this has been a real breath of fresh air. So I didn't know what to expect with this. I saw this build a while ago for as I frequent the King's Head quite often, and I just thought, like, how are we going to do this on stage? Because the thing with Trainspotting is that, to me, it is one of the great pieces of cinema. So to take something that's a great piece of cinema and put it onto the stage is something that I think initially you think it's difficult to do, because the film is something that is that really sticks in your mind. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it is part of a sort of canon of great influence with cinema styles. Why can't I say that word this evening? Of filming styles ever since. But no, this is actually really quite something else. So reading through the programme, I do that. 21 years since the book was first published, which is mad. It meant that I was 9 years old when it came out, which is a bit scary. But yes, so this is interesting because it's the King's Head Theatre's first in-house production for this season, incorporating in-your-face theatre, who did the original production in Edinburgh last year. So they brought it to London with an all-Scottish cast, and they were absolutely right to do so. It's absolutely a fantastic thing. First of all, what I will say is, forget about the film. Which I know is difficult, because the film is just the film. What this is a stage adaptation of the book. Now, I'm going to admit I haven't read the book, so I can't really say much about the actual book. But I mean, what I love about this is that it tells a story in a different way, in a different manner, and it's just as striking and as powerful as the film. If not, I'd probably say a little more, actually, because you can't do things on the stage that you would otherwise be able to do in films. Like, you can't have babies crawling around on the ceiling and turning their heads 180, which is one of the most memorable things about that film. Therefore, it tells a story in a different way, and because you can do less technically with it, especially in a fringe space like the King's Head Theatre, I think in some ways it gets the story across a lot more. It's certainly, to me, it's a lot more. I don't know, it just seemed more powerful. That's just my gut reaction. This is called Fresh Off the Stalls, after all, so there's me coming straight from a theatre show. So what I loved about it, just the set. They turned the entire space into some sort of weird. I don't even know what to call that space setup. It's kind of in the round. It's kind of thrust. Some people are standing, some people are sitting. It's weird. I suppose it's an immersive setup. You won't necessarily get a seat, and that doesn't necessarily matter. That's one of the great things about it. You can stand or sit anywhere, and everything is done in and around you, and it's great. You don't. They've directed to the venue very well. You don't miss anything out for wherever you are in the auditorium. Anyway, I was talking about what they've done. They've turned the entire back of the entire auditorium of the King's Head Theatre into one of the most squalid squats I have ever seen. It's an amazing feat. Just the graffiti on the walls, the dirt, everything from the filthy carpet, which Don't ask why I noticed the carpet out of all bloody things on the set, but I did, and it's frayed, it's filthy, it hasn't been hoovered in ever. Man, it looks great. You come in to the show, and everyone's literally having a rave. It is such a bizarre experience. I didn't know where to stand, sit, I didn't even know what to do. It was totally mad, and just bringing me back to the 90s, even though I was exceptionally young, to some brilliant tracks, which I still love today. But yes, if I'm going to offer any criticism, it'll probably actually be that. You go in, everyone's raving, including the artistic director of the King's Head Theatre, which I absolutely loved. It starts off really sort of this sort of very like, yes, we're immersive, you're getting in, you're raving, go rave, you got glow sticks, rave, god damn you, rave! And then all of a sudden you sit down, and then the rest of the show just kind of goes on. It's still kind of immersive, it still goes on in and around you, but you suddenly become a very passive, as an audience, are very passive. So I mean, I can't, it was very novel going into a full-on rave, and it certainly sets the scene of the entire era of the entire style. I just feel that it was nothing more than novelty. It didn't actually have anything to do with the rest of the play. I suppose that's a very personal criticism. But that's one of the very few things I could offer about it. The only other criticisms I could offer about this is the pacing, because it starts off very quick fire, especially if you just walked into a rave. You know that the energy is really pumped up quite high, and there's some moments where it just drops, and it drops significantly, and which means because you're already hyped up, it gets to this sort of very slow bit, and you're just going to go, oh, this is quite slow in comparison to everything else, and that's noticeable. I don't think that's anything to do with the production or the direction, because honestly, thinking about it, I don't know how you could do it any otherwise. I think it's just the pacing of the writing, the pacing of the adaptation, and it's not terrible. It's, as I said, one of the very few criticisms I can actually offer to this, but it's a very noticeable thing. You kind of sit there. The other. And I'm not going to offer this as an actual criticism. I'll offer this as a comment. The accents are very, very authentic, and they should be, because the entire cast are Scottish. But it means, much like with Lardo, can't understand a lot of what they're saying sometimes. But that's fine. I think if you're going to go for accents, you do them authentically, and you just go for it. If the audience don't understand you, it's kind of their problem, really. I'd rather the accents be pure, be authentic, rather than trying to scale it back a bit and therefore feeling a bit fake and a bit forced. I don't think it really matters as well, because some of the thicker accents in the show are in moments where what's going on really doesn't drive the narrative. So this is presented in a way that there's all kind of these wonderful little sort of scenes that seem incredibly sort of disconnected, and they all sort of slowly, as everything gets worse for our characters, they slowly kind of merge to a point. So at the beginning, and some of the points where these people are going on, and you can't understand a word they're saying. Well, I couldn't anyway. Scottish accents are one of the ones I find difficult to settle into, especially something so thick. But it doesn't matter, and despite that, you still get kind of what's going on. The body language, the energy is still there. But yeah, I think because two really, really sort of innovative and out there plays with thick Scottish accents were just not enough for me in 2 weeks. I've got Lardo down at the Old Red Lion, Trainspotting up at the King's Head. Anyway, I really got to talk about the cast here. The cast are amazing. I can't believe that they're doing 3 shows tonight. I mean, I was at the first show, the 7 o'clock showing. Just the energy and the charisma and sort of the visceral drive in all of them is astonishing. I expect they're going to sleep very, very well tonight. Oh, excuse me. It's this lager. There's another lager, I think. Anyway, yeah, they're incredibly energetic, especially as most of them play different characters and stuff. They keep, well, apart from the pace dropping off at some points, which I said is something I think is to do with the writing, they keep the energy really going, and they put in some really, really powerful performances. I mean, I really loved Greg Esplin. Gavin Ross in particular. It's really difficult to pick out any particular favourites of it, as it were. They all work really well together. It's a blistering show. I love the fact it starts off very comical. It starts off, they don't take any prisoners when it comes to sort of involving the audience. You will literally be pushed past asked to get out your seat and stand, threatened with switchblade knives, have synthetic poo splattered all over you because it wouldn't be train spotting without a lot of poo. It's you're there. You're part of what's going on. I think that's a wonderful way. Even though you are a little more passive than the opening with the rave would suggest. I might not know what I'm talking about here. I think it's the beer. I think it also might be those opium suppositories that I've just popped in. Yeah, no, but I love it. It's in and around you. Don't wear your glad rags. Seriously, if you don't want anything trodden on or anything splattered in brown liquid, don't wear your glad rags. But yeah, just everything about it. It's incredible. It's very visceral. It's disgusting. It's filthy. It's everything that this is. But at the same time, it's really human. And as I think what's so great about Trainspotting as a book, as a film, as it is here in the play, everything is so depraved, but underneath that there's a real sense of people beneath that. And you, even though these are people you find disgusting, you really with them towards the end of the play, and going through the tragedy with them, and you really sympathise. And that's what I think is great about the book, especially in this adaptation. There's some real there's a great sense of poetry, a great sense of rhythm and metre as well in some of the moments where other cast members would sort of, I suppose, narrate some of the thoughts and feelings that are going on in that scenes. And some of it is actually just it's nothing flamboyant or flowery. It's very basic in the words they use, but still beautiful in how they conjure images and stuff, and also really